again, my friends. Well, welcome back to the Cellar of Dreams and Slightly Cooler Temperatures. This one, following on from the little planning episode, I'm going to be making a start on Platform 6. I have actually ordered the point work to do the rest of the station up here. Didn't order another box of track because it's going to take me a while to get all the points down, so I can spread the cost on that one. First thing I need to do, and this is what we're going to do to start with, the station needs emptying. So there's not that many trains up here, but they can't stay here. So we're going to move some trains. This is Leopard Street. All right, so it doesn't really matter what order I move trains in. They're going to go over there onto the scenic side. I'm not running them down under here because these boards are going to be coming on and off a little bit. So I need to do it. I'm also going to have to evacuate. I've got one on the middle bit. Not the G5. It's lurking, so I need to shift it to work out where everybody's going. G5 first. Let's get that done. Yes. Okay, G5 rake of coaches. Come around here. She's sitting here. Green signal. And what she's going to do is run round onto this bit up here, which is the near track on that incline. So I've got her selected. Off we go. So she's coming out. Around here like so. As always, lovely little engine, quite reliable. And because I've got the block detection, we can sort of follow her on here. As she comes around, she's not going too quickly because, well, it's over all this point work. Coaches don't have any form of block work on them. Do need to sort something out on that with some ones with lighting, but there we go, never mind. As she goes round, she's going to come out. Angle the camera right over there fairly shortly. Let her come out. Here we go. And I park her up on the main line. Don't have to clear the lower deck completely because the two trains that are down there are sitting under the TND board, which isn't getting anything done to it. So she's going to come around here and the rest will sit on the incline behind, so this isn't really going to cause too much of a problem either as we come chuffing around. Lovely little loco, 4 coaches behind her. Looks pretty good. 3 coaches behind her looks good as well. And I think, yeah, that'll do. Yeah, sound off and release. Right. Next up, back to the station. Here we go, station throat. Now, as I've said, these are going onto the rear incline. So first off is going to be Scotsman because she's basically lined up. She has a green signal, which means the route is set. And off she goes. The ever reliable Flying Scotsman. So that's her rumbling out the way. Next one's probably going to be Thomas because Thomas has got a train in his setup. So I'm going to let the Scotsman rumble round. Right. Mr. Thomas. Off we go. I have also ordered a track cleaning coach, so we should be able to sort that particular problem out soon as well. Off he goes. And stops immediately because despite what my software is saying how these slip is set, it actually isn't. So, reliability issue again. I need to think about. So Thomas can disappear. So yeah, that's this double slip here. When it switches on, sometimes it doesn't reset the way it's supposed to. I'm just going to keep track of Thomas so he doesn't go into the back of the Scotsman. So yes. So, there we have those two looking over there. And those coaches need shifting, which means another locomotive. And I'm actually going to bring Spike back to do that because Spike is facing in more or less the correct direction. So, Knight of the Thistle. Reverse, check everything's lined up. And here comes Spike. I'm going to go and grab these coaches. Now, obviously, I could do all of this by hand. There's fun in that. Crunch. And off we go out onto the main line again. Now, obviously, I've got signals set up now. So I can actually stack up these trains. And this is something the layout actually supports and was designed to support, which we'll have a little look at in a minute. Is I can stack 3 trains over there. Now, the rest of these need to be out of the way as well. So this goes a little bit against my signalling, but there we go. I'm going to send out the B12. I'm going to have to stack some of these now. Followed by the N2. Now, I did get some comments actually on the N2. Yeah, these are really, really old locos. And this is mainline railways. So, yeah. That's that. Bucky and the J52 are going to hit the departure road. So the arrivals road, just because there's space. So, Bucky, where are we? Bucky, the engine. He's quite happy as usual. Yes, the departure road for Leopard Street is actually built to hold 3 trains. So I've got Scotsman, Thomas, and the Thistle. And inbound, I can hold 3 as well. But not that I'm holding 3 at this point. I'm just going to have a couple of shunting locos sitting around. There we go. Rumble back, out the way and stop. Sound off, release. Where are we? J52, new J52. Eels in reverse. And she can come back as well. One thing I really do like about the newer models is just how quiet they are. I mean, old ones, I suspect a lot of it's down to the quality of the motor and the gearing meshing a lot more finely. And the reason that N2 makes so much noise is the motor bearings. You've been told to stop. Why haven't you? Oh, for God's sake. Right. Yeah, what's just happened is the J52, well, I'll show you. Yes, J52 has run into Bucky because I told the layout to switch itself. I told her to stop. But if we come back over here, yeah, zoom in quite so much. Come on, zoom back. Oh, zoom back out. Touch screens for you. Yellow icon. It's lost communication with the layout. That is infuriating. It's also happening a fair bit, so I'm going to have a look at moving that. Why has that decided not to focus on anything now? Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. So yeah, we've now got Scotsman sitting there at a signal, Thomas sitting at a signal, Spike sitting at a signal. And the reason that signal's gone green is because the layout thinks there's nothing in front of it, which is slightly, yeah, it's wrong. Yes, so I suspect what I need to do. The board is there. I think I need to move that from there to somewhere it's going to get better signal strength. Strangely, now I've got stronger Wi-Fi, I'm getting more and more problems like that. That didn't used to happen. Yeah. Right. I now need to clear all this off and we can get ready and do some actual work. Catch you in a moment. Right. Here we are at the bit of Leopard Street I don't often stand in. This is this end of the layout. There's basically a little access well down here. Sort of, yeah, it's got lots of rubbish in it. But this is the bit of the layout at the end here, which is removable. Fairly easily removable, actually, as well. But we have here, where the crossovers are going to go, I have 2 points. So if I take these out, not open these up yet. I've also got a couple of offcuts of track, which I'm going to need. So that, go down there, it's rubbish. I can't access the bin from down this end. But yes, yeah, go down there. So what we're going to have is a crossover like this. Now I've marked out the platform 6 road. It's going to come over slightly from that because this road here, platform 5, isn't quite where it was marked out as. It's over here. I need it to be a constant distance because then the platforms will fit. But what I've got, if I line you up there, you can see there's a board join. So what I can't do is have a point over a board join, and I can't have them like that either. I don't want them like that. So that point's going to be there. This one's going to be back a little bit. Not sure where as yet, but exactly how I'm going to fit this. And it'll have a length of track, something like that in the middle of it. And the job for today is to get those down. Now what this gives me, I can't get at the tape measure, but it gives me this space here, which is this is where Smudge jumps up and jumps down and causes all sorts of chaos. But yeah, so these points are going to go in. This here is going to be my loco head shunt. I need to make sure that's an appropriate size. I've got a coach here, a loco to hand, but basically as long as a loco can get there, buffer stop here with a little bit of room. It doesn't have to be perfect. I don't want them right to the end. There is eventually going to be something on this end as a bit of a back scene, and probably along here as well, but I'm not putting that in just yet. I've just noticed the I didn't cut the foam off at this end like I should have done. I'm just going to do that now. It's mostly broken off, but I don't want it breaking off. I want to cut it so that it's smooth. So I'm just going to do this on this knife along here. Now, this isn't as sharp as it could be, but never mind, it'll do. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's one of these. It's got to be good enough. Eek, lots of sticky. I obviously put the glue on the back of the foam when I did this bit. Anyway, never mind. We shall trim this. It's as much as when I'm leaning on it, I'm not breaking it. Right, so that gives me space. I need to measure that out exactly. But before I do that, these points, these are electrofrog points. Yes, got the point frog wire is on the bottom there. These need the modifications doing. Now, I refer to them as the Chadwick modifications because basically Charlie over at Chadwick Model Railway, he's the one who showed me this. It's actually largely on the back of the sheets. We've got some sleepers missing here, and you basically bond those two together. Now, I do it, as I've seen quite a few people do it. I use that to make a track feed. Solder the frog wire, and there's 2 little bits in there. You can see those? And you take those out. And what it does is it means down here, the switch rails become electrically bonded to the side. So you're no longer relying on the the point blades to make electrical contacts. And from there onwards, this middle bit is all the frog feed. So I need to do both of those. Now, it doesn't matter which way. I've got to do them both the opposite way round. So I need one to be blue on the curved rail and one to be blue on the straight rail. Doesn't matter which order. Now, I'm going to go and do that at the desk off camera because that will involve swearing. It's just, it always does. So I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to get these modified. The other things I'm going to do, because these are in a cosmetic area, is I'm going to cut out. Oh, my hand behind that makes it a bit easier to see. I'm going to trim these sides. I'm going to trim the tie bar. I'm for now going to leave the spring in because on the Code 75 points, the spring is accessed from the top. This means I can put the points in with all the wires dropped through. I can manually move the blades and I can do rolling stock roll through tests, which is what I'm going to be doing before it all gets powered up. As the first stage of this is to get these two in with their little bit of track between them in whatever position they're going to end up in. I'm then going to lay these two sets of rail this side with their power feeds. Although, what I'm probably going to do with this one, the length of track that's here, I'm going to solder it to the point. So the point will do that power feed. But I could... Electrically, this board it's going to have a block feed there, block feed there, block feed there, block feed there. These bits of track are a little bit longer. What I'm thinking is block feed, block feed, block feed, block feed. I can have 8 on this board without needing to get any extra hardware because it's going to have a DTC8 fitted to it. So I might as well use them, but I will think about how I'm going to do that later. Anyway, I'm going to get these points modified. I'm also going to get a drink, and we're back. Okay, back. Now, as predicted, there was some swearing involved there. So, yes, probably just as well. Now, I've got 2 little pieces of card here. These cut to 70mm, which is the sleeper to sleeper distance. It's easier to work with than the track centres. And that suits my pieces of platforms down to the ground. I've marked out the centre for this one. So that piece of track can go down there, out of the way. And we have the junction. It's the crossover. Note complete lack of sleepers. This is going to go in, and it's going to have PCB sleepers under all of this because it's over a board join. Now, there's 2 things I need to do at this point. One of which I can do quite easily, and one of which is going to take a little bit longer. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this piece of styrene sheet. This is very thin AK interactive styrene sheet. I'm going to glue that onto there. That needs painting. That can then have the sleepers stuck to it in a bit. I've got to copy X this down. That's got to dry. Paint over it. That's got to dry. And then I can fit the track. I've marked out the holes for the first of the points. Can't really mark out the holes for the second one until the first one is able to sit in place because I need to make sure it's accurate. So I'm going to stick this down first. And just clean the signs of where Smudge has been off all of this. She really is a little pest. And she really doesn't care. And it's the complete and utter lack of caring that I find quite entertaining with her. Because she really doesn't give a damn. It's very typically cat. As anyone who owns anyone who is owned by a cat will know exactly what I mean by that. They say dogs have owners, cats have staff. And they're not kidding. So this goes down over here like so. Let's press that down. Copydex is pretty good at sticking plastic to things, but this is so when I super glue sleepers down, they've got something to grip. So that needs to dry. Now, as that dries, what I'm going to do is drill the holes for the first one of these. Now, these come in a couple of different sizes, and the first thing I need to do, I'm going to get my goggles before I do any drilling, is just validate there is nothing under where I'm about to drill, and there isn't. So because it's noisy, I'm going to do the drilling off camera, back and have a quick look at it. Well, I'm going to do the drilling off camera. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to paint that. I'm going to let that dry. Then we'll be back, because at that point I can start actually putting track down. And that's probably the more interesting bit than watching paint dry. Catch you in a few minutes. Right, so it is now Sunday. Painted. I put the cork in behind and painted that as well. So what I now need to do is, I rather think there's been a cat down here again, because there's dust everywhere. So sort that out. Anyway, this goes in as a single piece, which is slightly awkward to do, but it goes in. It will go in. Brute force over ignorance, it's going in. Right, there we are. That sits in there. Now I've put a little piece of track here. This was just to help me with some initial alignment work. However, what I've also got now is this bit, which is going to sit here. And obviously there's going to be one here as well. Now I've had a comment on the planning video, which is obviously, I went out before this out, about using this little section here, which is also going to go up to the same length, for express traffic, like milk vans, parcel vans. I've got platform 1 really for parcels, but over here, quite easily do it. I mean, because I've got space to sit a shunting loco, and then I've got space at the end for a van or two. So yeah, I might do that. What I do need to do, however, is bring a friend of mine along, which is my Q6. Now, this is my longest freight loco currently. And she fits on this little piece of track quite nicely, with a bit of space to spare. There. This shows this head shunt is going to be long enough. Now, what I'm going to end up doing is insulated rail joiners there, because I want to know when a train is in here and it's clear of this point. So if I make that one section, I don't know when the train's clear. Whereas if I have this little bit at the end as a separate section, I can do that. This bit here might also get split. So before, I'm going to have 8 sections for this area. So if I do 6 for the track, and then I have that bit and this point, that sort of works, because this little stub track here, there's 2 ways of dealing with it. One is to have a piece that's about that long to about there, and that becomes one section, and then this bit becomes another. The other is to make it longer. This bit ideally will be connected to the point over here, so because it's basically, this is the clearance bit to avoid fouling the crossover. I suspect breaking it down here will work a bit better. Yes, this section will show occupied still. What I may end up doing is putting one of the little infrared sort of sensors in here, just to say this bit here is clear. So I might have to do that. So what the next job, though, is fitting this bit. Now, before I can do that, I need to make these end lengths. So this little temporary piece here can come out. Because that was just, I was just using this to help with some alignment initially. And of course, it's going to bring the fish plate out with it, which I didn't want it to, but never mind. Assuming I can get the fish plate out off the rail, that is. Let's just do. There we go. That can go back onto there. Now, normally, you'd be using plastic fish plates for all of this stuff, or at least for part of it. I'm using metal ones because you can get that back on there. These rails are obviously going to get cut, so I can use metal ones. So what I need to do, I need a piece of track for this piece here, and I'm going to have some down here. Now, this length here, this section down to the point, is slightly too long for one piece of track. So what I'm going to do is take one of the pieces I've got, I'm going to cut a length off for this side, and the rest is going to go here. Then I'm going to have another piece down there. The reason for doing it that way is it means there'll be a track join somewhere in the middle, which is a lot easier to do than points. I also have to mark out and cut another uncoupler slot. It needs to be over here somewhere, probably about here. But I need the piece of track first so I know where I'm going to put it. I've got a cat down by my foot again. Never mind. So this is going to come along here, about like that. Give me the right length. And I can have this piece of track attached while I glue the points down. And that matters because the longer piece I've got on here, the easier it is to get it parallel to that road. So what I need to do is trim this. About there. I do there. Now these are my Zuron cutters. These are rather old. I need to get some more probably. They don't quite sever through brilliantly. So yeah, that'll go here, and then that piece can go there. So that's how that's going to go. So I'm going to get those set up because I need to put the droppers on here. I'm going to have to cut this into 2 lengths as well. So that's going to go onto, caught on something somewhere. I can't see where. Catch it. There's a little bump in the paint. Yeah, so that's going to go over here. Now, all of those sleepers are going to be removed because that's all going to be printed circuit board sleepers. So I've got that piece. I then need to come down here and clip. Where do I want to do this? I think, although not very often, it must be said, I think splitting it here and having these 2 end pieces roughly the same length is the way to go. So that's how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do this and trim it around. Basically, because I can get the cut edge to be the same on at least one of the pieces of rail. This is all going to need filing before I can do anything else with it. And as they always say with these things, sharp cutters, be careful with them. If in doubt, find a small child to help you. Because that just seems to be how it works. So they are going to go in there and like that. Like I say, I've got to cut out an uncoupler slot under there, but I want these rails to help with this. Actually, I probably shouldn't have cut that just yet, but yeah, never mind. Anyway, and I've got that piece there. So I'm going to go get those prepped up with some wires soldered onto them. I'm going to be back. Okay, that's some track cut. So what we now have, down here, we have platform 6 going in. There's a power feed here. Join, I've not put a dropper on that because I'm going to solder these connections here, so that's fine. That's all basically one section up to where the board will cut. I need to put in 2 uncoupler slots. This is going to be the goods loop in here, so I need an uncoupler here. So when a train comes in, it can uncouple, loco can move forwards. I've also been doing a little bit of clearance testing with these, so flick that over, and they can clear a platform quite nicely, which I'm quite pleased with. Looks pretty good. I can't send them all the way down because the point at the other end is not set right. So I'll take those off. And then I've also got the tracks here. So I need to put another uncoupler under here. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove these 2 little bits of track here. Well, I'm just going to lift them and slide them back a bit for the uncoupler. That one also needs to go in. The rest of this, however, I can glue. And I'm going to glue it. I'm going to leave this track in while I glue it. And I'll remove it later, but I'm just not going to glue this bit. It just helps keep things aligned and straight. So this now gets slightly awkward because there's quite a bit of track to lift. However, I don't need to lift it very far, which is the saving grace, so to speak. The point work can lift up. I didn't think I needed to lift it very far. I might have to put some stuff under here, actually, just to help lift it a little bit, like so. But I'm going to start at this end. So what we do, turn you around, my usual copy X. Avoid dropping any on the cat that's down by your feet, because cats, seriously, getting rubber glue out of their fur, you don't really want to be doing that. In fact, I'm pretty sure she doesn't want me to be doing it either, because I would probably get meowed at. So a little bit of Copydex under here. This isn't on a curve, so it doesn't need vast amounts of glue to hold it. Just a little bit. Steering clear of the worky bits of the points, which is the always the bit that's worth doing. And then when I get up here, I'm near a board edge or a board join. So what I need to do there, move that over a bit. I'm just going to lay this side down. It's going to need something putting on it in a minute, but we can deal with that in a sec. When I get over here near where the board edge is, I do use quite a bit more glue. Now this is all going to get sleepers super glued and all that sort of stuff in a bit as well, but we'll cope with that. Same on this side here. I want a chunk of glue. It just helps hold the point near the board join. That's sort of the purpose of this. But this just goes in. Right, that's this end bit done. So what I now do is press it down into the glue nicely and find something heavy to sit on it. Heavier than that half-empty pot. And this will just basically press it down into the adhesive and hold it. I will put that one on there actually, just to help hold that. It's one of these things. Some of this track, it wants to lift a little, and I don't want it to. So I'm going to finish doing this. I'm going to leave that to dry, and then we're going to come back when I put the sleepers in. Catch you shortly. All right, now use my pointy stick. This is now all dried in. It's not perfect. If you look down that angle, you can see it goes straight, but it bows outwards slightly before it curves back in. I was going to relift that, but it occurs to me it makes fitting the platforms in here a little bit easier, so I'm going to leave that. And we have all of this is dried and glued in. The point's dried and glued in. That bit's dry and glue in. These bits here aren't. Next job is going to be to lift it. Now I can power it to this point. This is all fed off the point feed down here, comes all the way along. There are droppers here, they're not connected to anything. Beyond that point, it's the frog rails and so on and so forth. So, yeah. But I do want to test it with some stock. So what I've got lined up is I have Spike about to bring some coaches in. And in fact, to assist with the test, I'm actually going to put a few more coaches on. Nope, the cat has joined me again. So we're going to... Yeah, bent up coupling hook, never mind. Right, we're going to put it in. Now this means I can roll down to the end and back. And what I'm checking for is the quality of the rail joins. So we're going to go backwards. Here come the coaches. Yes, meow. Meow. Yes, I'm being meowed at. These things happen, so we'll go a little bit quicker. And this is onto the platform 6. Now I've had this track in as a temporary track. I've never had it in with the junction at the other end. So this is just to see how well this works. Spike rolling in quite nicely, and stop before we hit the buffers. That seems to work. So I'm going to come forward again. As I say, this is just testing out the rail joins, not the electrics as such, because they're not connected yet. So we'll bring this back down. I'm going to throw the crossover, and we'll push them back over that. Now, while I was setting this up, I've had a few more relay-related issues, but not on the board I fixed, on the other board. And check the other one's sorted. On board L, I have remade the other relay board, which is now just waiting to be connected. And I've done the ones for boards M and N as well at the same time. So there we go around there. Over that crossing. Now coaches normally won't go down that road, obviously. So I'm just going to have a little look and see how well they've gone. Yeah. Now, I say I'm not going to run stock down there. The joins are fairly free, but it seems to work. So what we're going to do is bring Spike out of the way. I'm still getting meowed at. Yes. Yes, you're a cat. You are. Puss. So I can take Spike off out of the way. You can wander off around there. Yes. There's the furry controller, so to speak. Bring this round here, past obviously you can see the central board is looping up there a bit. And we can stop there before we hit the red signal. So, what's next? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is power the track down, because if I don't, I'm going to end up buzzing something. What I now need to do is find my uncouplers, which I have. I have some magnets on order to get some more of these. I ordered some more. So what I need to do is cut slots to fit that, and I need one there, and I want one there. Obviously, I've got to lift that bit of track to do that. So I'm going to get those marked out. I'm going to dig up buzzy saw. I'm going to move my Q6, and I'm going to get them done. What do you know? All right, so I've got these two holes here marked out, just like so. What I now need to do is prepare them. So, a bit of track out of the way. You can see buzzy saw here waiting in the wings ominously. Now, the first thing I need to do is remove the cork and the XPS from this. Just make sure I get the length of it correct. Make sure I mark this one out right. I haven't. Just need to. Yes. Not that one properly. Right. Otherwise, I'm going to end up having to come back and make a bigger hole. It'll make a bigger mess. Right, I can go back over there. So what I need to do here is just cut through the cork and the XPS. Because fairly obviously, I'm not cutting through cork and XPS through plywood with a modelling knife. Nice if you could, but you can't, so I'm not. Here is this one. Bring all this in here like so. And this bit I'm going to have to do freehand because I can't get the ruler into this area here. But simple enough. And the beauty of this is the edges of the XPS and the cork then act as a guide. Try to get this one in the right place. What's this mark here? They then act as a guide for buzzy saw, which works quite nicely. So that's that bit. And I should be able to lift that out. There's a bit of cork. And the XPS can be a little bit harder because it depends how well it's stuck down. Hopefully not very. There we go. It's out of the way. So that doesn't quite fit in. That needs to be slightly larger lengthwise. That's not a huge problem. I can just trim this slightly more. Obviously a slightly sharper scalpel would help here, but never mind. This will do. Yeah. I would use Mini New on this, but out of reach currently. Never mind. So that goes in there nicely, and we do the same over here. And do the two long sides first. Makes life easier. There we go. Yeah. Now I've fixed up more relays, so they're ready to go in. The other issue I've been having, as you may have heard me comment on the previous video, is the DTC EX base station, the Arduino. Seems to lose communication every once in a while. Now I suspect it's because it's got a model railway sitting on top of it, and funnily enough, that appears to be causing some interference. Whoever would have thought it? So what I've done, I had a little look at the documentation to see whether it supports it, and it does. I've got an Ethernet connection coming for that. So fairly shortly, that will have a little bit of a rebuild. We'll have a look at how to do that and how to configure that, which should give me a much more solid connection. There is, incidentally, up there somewhere, a cat. I did tell her this was going to make noise and she probably wouldn't want to be here when I did it, but she decided to go up in the ceiling anyway. So, cat. Right, they're ready to cut. So I'm going to cut this one first. So, yeah. Goggles first, because while you've got two eyes, you don't necessarily want to be doing this with your one remaining good eye. So, anyway, a little bit of noise. Back in a sec. And that fits as well. So they're good. What that means is I can actually, because I'm stood near enough to it, I can get out the underneath of it. I'll just remove that little bit of plywood. That fits in there underneath like that. And under there, I do need to print some more of these. I've got some more magnets coming. But what I now need to do is clean this off. I need to cut a piece of plastic to sit over the top of that. I need to glue that in. I need to paint that, and I need to let that dry. So, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so to finish off with this one, I was going to do some of the PCB sleepers. They're down here. Yeah. I'm damned if I can find them. I've ordered some more. I needed some more anyway, so I've ordered some more. They'll be here this week. Now, unfortunately, what that means is I can't cut these rails. I can't separate the boards, can't do any other powering up. Not a huge problem, to be honest with you. The other stuff will be here before I can really do a great deal with it. So, with that, this episode we have added Platform 6. Or added the road for Platform 6, not actually Platform 6, because as you can see, there are no platforms. Apart from that one down the bottom. And that crossover. Now, still to do, the various dropper wires need connecting to something underneath. I say, the next bit is the PCB sleepers and soldering those in and then cutting the rails and what have you. So until I've got that, can't do much more. I can't even actually, when the track work turns up, I can't even put the Y point in that in over here. Simple reason being, I need to get this board up to do it because I've got a control box underneath here I need to redo. So, yeah. And down here needs a bit of cleaning because it might be runnable. I've drilled a hole and cut a big slot above it, so there's sawdust and that's gone down there. But we shall see. Anyway, that's it for this video. So, thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with the next one when, hopefully, I'll either be doing a little bit more up here, or I'll be running some trains, or I'll be building the goods shed, or I'll be doing something else. But it won't involve firing this lot up because the bits won't be here until midweek. So, anyway, that's that. Likes, comments, shares as usual, more than welcome. I am having a little think on a video based on a suggestion Kelly's made about cleaning things, sort of the cleaning regimes and how to look at things like that. But, that's all for the future. Anyway, thank you very much and goodbye.